Okay, so the HVAC guys were just here. They just left. They're probably here there's three guys for, I don't know, 6 hours maybe at the most. Doesn't take long. So they installed everything. I mean, they did all the rough in. This house is, because I've got, these vaulted ceilings and in quite a large area of the house, this entire room here, which is like 16 by 24, it's the kitchen, family room area. And then the master bedroom area, which is, 13 by 15? Yeah, I think it's 13 by 15. Anyway, and then even the master bath. There's limited area to run ductwork. You got to kind of figure out, where you're gonna get air, because you got to have air circulation, obviously, right? So you gotta make sure that ductwork, supply air, and return air, your cold air returns, are going to function properly. So it takes a little bit of thinking. Here they've got two in this. I mean, it's not a lot of choice. So we're blasting 4 in this area, and then over here, and then the main return air is here. This little hallway as you walk into the master bedroom, and then we've got one supply here, and then I always in higher end houses, I do a return air in every bedroom. This is a lower priced house, so I'm doing a return air, which is that one there, just in the master. And the reason I do that is if you just have supply air and you close the bedroom door, you create pressure in the room because, the air can get out underneath the door, but not at the rate it's coming in. So the system doesn't function as correctly, as good as it could. Now, obviously, we have a limited area. We just have this area that we can bring anything into this room. So these are closer than they optimally would be. Optimally, you would have your supply air up here, washing down the windows, washing the air down in front of the windows. And then you'd have your return air over here, but we can't do that. We don't have a choice. It's better. It doesn't circulate the air as well as the optimal situation, but it circulates it better than if you just had a supply air in here, because you're going to close the bedroom doors, and then you're going to be pulling air out at the rate you're returning the air at the rate you're supplying it. So you'll get a better circulation. It's something to think about if you're new to construction or if you're building your own house, because some guys don't do it. They don't do it automatically. Some guys will do it automatically, but it costs more. But if you're building a more expensive home, your price per square foot, your selling price, if you're building to sell, if you're building to live, certainly if you're building to live in it, you want to make sure that your HVAC guy will supply, will at least create this situation where we'll have a supply and return air, at least in the master bedroom, and if you're going to live in it, I would do it in all the bedrooms. Like I said, this is a little bit unusual of a situation. You can't run ductwork up here, obviously. So, and then in here, we have one small right there. I got to line the finger up with. Anyway, so we got a supply air here, and then I like to put the exhaust fans, because they include doing that. So at least here in Texas, well, actually all the states have built in. This is the 4th state I've built in. So the HVAC guys supply all those. Now I don't have you can buy those really cheap ones at like the big box stores, New Tone or whatever. I don't know. They have a 3-inch ducting. I don't like those. Really noisy. They're cheap and they're junk. And the cubic feet per minute, they're measured in cubic feet per minute for their volume, is really low. It's like 50 cubic feet a minute. These are, a good HVAC guys will supply 4-inch 4-inch return. I don't know what these are. I think they're 70 or 110. They're up there. They're also, the volume or the noise that they make when the fan is running is measured in sones. And so the higher the number, the noisier it is. So those really cheap ones, they're also like 4 sones, which is like really bad. These are like, I don't know, 1.5 or 2. I mean, they're not you can get really high end ones. You can get ones that I think, I forgot what I was using in my high end houses. I think they vent it like, they have like a 5 or 6 inch vent. So they duct out with a 5 or 6 inch duct. If they're so quiet, you turn them on, it's like you forget that they're on. So I would put them on a lighted switch. So when the switch is in the on position, it's lighted, so you would notice it when you walk out the door that the fan is still on. They also would be higher, like 110, 120 CFM. So you can get down to like 1 sones or 1 point something. So that's something to look out for when you're building your own house. What's going to get put in? What your HVAC guys get. Make sure you discuss that with him. He might not know the zones, but he'll certainly know. I mean, if you're really fussy, especially for the master bath, you could just go buy your own unit and he'll put it in for you. He'll hook it up for you. The electrician will hook up the electrical. If you want it's really super low zones, that's really quiet and really high CFM. And I usually I'm more concerned with the tub area where if you're taking a shower and the steam's going up, then I am placing it over the toilet for odor, especially in an open bathroom like this. I mean, if you have a separate toilet room, you would have a separate fan just in the toilet room only. This house is too small to have all that extra, a separate room just for the toilet. Honestly, is it really that important? I don't know. I mean, anyway, but I do put it in higher end houses, of course, because you got 3,500, 4,000 square feet. You got to do something with it. But anyway, yeah. So I'm more concerned with having it in front of the tub area in this open bathroom, because as soon as the humidity, because what it'll do with the humidity, it'll go up to the top. Well, here it's not a flat ceiling, but even if I had a flat ceiling, I would rather have it over here than worry about it being here, because if there's any odors. These things don't really, I mean, they don't really take that smell out, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, you can leave the thing on for hours. The best thing is to just have some Febreze spray or something if you're that concerned. So it's really all about taking the humidity out of the air. Anyway, yeah, so that's in the master bath, and then here's where they had run the condensate line down that goes to the outside unit, which is your AC unit. You want to make sure that your siding is on before you run this thing, because you don't want your guys to come, because when the guys put siding on, I mean, they already hit a pipe here, a water pipe, because my plumbers came out so quick, I didn't even know, they just showed up. Anyway, the siding wasn't on. They ended up poking a pipe. I mean, the plumbers will come and fix it. You don't want to poke this copper line that's inside here. There's the main copper line, and there's this one, the smaller one. Yeah, so the siding nails, they don't always put the siding on. They don't always nail where the studs are. I mean, they try to, but sometimes where there's a joint or whatever, they don't always put the joint over the siding, especially with hardy. So anyway, so the nails, they'll stick through the plywood a good inch. You don't want to hit this line. You definitely don't want to hit it and not know it. Same with your water pipes, and I covered that in a previous video. If they put the siding on after they ran your plumbing, make sure you go around and you check that there's no nails, especially your supply lines, but even your vent. I mean, you don't want a nail sticking in the vent, so you want to take and wiggle it, make sure that it's moving. I did all that. I did find one nail in the kitchen area that might have it made an indentation anyway, so I'm just going to have them fix it. I can't see if it goes all the way through. Anyway, yeah. So that's something to think about. Make sure that your siding's already on, or you're going to have to be there and guard your pipes. Especially this, when the guys are putting the siding on. Anyway, yeah, so that's that. And then let's see what else. Oh, laundry. Okay, so laundry, a good HVAC guy will use these dryer boxes instead of just having an elbow coming out. I mean, this way, because when you have an elbow coming out, now you can't push the dryers close to the wall. This helps with that, because you know, you don't know where the pipe, some dryers comes on that side, some are lower than others, some comes on, and so they can just run the flexible pipe and that kind of goes in, and you don't have this elbow and they have to make another elbow. Now your dryer's out from the wall like 7 or 8 inches. You can have it out maybe now like 4 inches. Anyway, so I happen to use, it just looks better too, looks more professional. I mean, it's this is just a cheap plastic one. They have ones that are metal that are a little bit more expensive. It doesn't matter because nobody ever sees it. And then, so then I padded my wall out a little. I padded this wall out a little bit more. I mean, they can squeeze it in a 4-inch wall, but I padded out a 2x4 wall another 1.5 inches from the other side, so they had more room. But they are designed to fit in a 2x4 wall. You can squeeze them in there. Anyway, yeah, and then that vents directly through the roof. They didn't have the right cap to put on the roof. They provide the caps. Whatever needs to be capped, just like your bathroom fans, they go out. They mount a thing on the roof, and then they poke the pipes up into there, and then that's where the air. So the air is, you can't exhaust into the attic. I don't think it's code anywhere. Nobody's going to be inspecting this, but still. So they vent through those things. This also does. They didn't have the right size. They only had one for a 6-inch, which would be. This is 4-inch, so it would be too big. So it wouldn't be a good. It's the thing that sits on the roof. It wouldn't be a good fit. And then it's got a screen so bugs can't get in, and then it's like a little chimney thing. It's covered so rain can't fall inside. Same thing with your let's see if you can see it. And anyway, you can see the from both bathrooms. You know, you can put 2 or 3 in there because I think it's 7-8 inches in diameter. Anyway, so they go up there, and then they secure them in so they can't fall out, and they foam. They take foam, spray foam in a can, and then they so that it's tight, so the air can't back out. It can only go out through the vent. And then I have them use this more expensive flexible pipe. There's this real cheap plastic, thin foil-colored plastic one. I don't like that stuff. I think it's garbage. So I'm like, just use this stuff. I mean, he doesn't charge extra, but it's it's like an aluminum corrugated aluminum. You can stretch out. The piece comes like 2 feet long, and then you can stretch it out to like 10 feet. Just have them use that stuff. It's better. It doesn't cost them that much more for your fan vents. You do have to have a fan in the laundry room. I don't know why, but you got to have a fan in the laundry room. It's code everywhere. Every state I lived in. Nobody ever uses it, but it's there because the government says that it should be there. And of course, here's one here. This is the second bath. You can see here a little bit better how they put it up inside, and then they spray foamed around it. And like I said, these bedrooms here, there's 2 bedrooms in the front. I didn't have them do the return air, so they just have a supply, and then they have a nice big platform here. Let's see the unit. This is 2.5 ton, 15 SEER. I used to put in 14 and then 16 in the higher end houses, SEER, which is how they measure the efficiency. Now this year, they raised it. The minimum you can have is 15. So he put in a 15 SEER unit. It's 2.5 ton. It's a Lennox, so it's a decent brand. It's not Train, but I don't put Train in spec houses. I was putting Carrier in the higher end houses. But anyway, yeah. So that ran about $5,000, complete. So that's the cost here in Texas. That's what I pay as a builder. This is you can see it's a horizontal unit because we don't have basements here. So that's what they do. That's your cold air plenum, and then on the other end is the warm air down on that side of it. Built a nice big platform, so they got plenty of room. Anyway, yeah. So that's kind of that, and that's kind of the pricing. I think it was $5,200. It's basically $1,800 a ton. I mean, when I started here in the beginning of 2013, was building my first house when I first moved here. At that time, I was paying $1,000 a ton. So it's up. I mean, the things went up since COVID. Actually, pre-COVID, I was paying about $1,350 per ton, and that was for Carrier. But I mean, nobody, all the units, everything went up. The supplies went up, the units went up. During COVID, I mean, some stuff was even hard to get. Supply chain issues have cooled down a bit. So anyway, so that's that. That's all the HVAC. And this will be for the exhaust for the cooktop, 6-inch, 7-inch if you got when I was doing the higher end houses, I put in higher end units, higher end exhaust fan units, higher end brands basically. So they're higher end, they exhaust, they need 7-inch to exhaust. 6 inches isn't big enough, so then you put in 7-inch pipe. It was kind of a wiggly deal, and I didn't like the way they did it last time because I've done this floor plan before. So I just said, oh, I'll do it. So I just put this together. They gave me the silver tape. They gave me the pipe, and I kind of did it while they were here. I'm kind of screwing around with it. I'm just getting it secured in place now, and they put the jack on the roof where it exhausts through. Again, I'll show you. I'll go outside and show you what those things look like. So I just did it myself. I like it. I like the back of the pipe out 1.5 inches to 2 inches from the rough wall, because you could put a 1/2 inch of drywall, and then the part of the cabinet, the upper cabinet that you screw through, there's like at the top and bottom of the upper cabinet is where the wood is thicker, where you fasten it to the wall, is about 3/4. So between 3/4 and 1.5 inches or 3/4 and 1/2 inch of drywall, you got a minimum 1.25 inches. So I keep it out. This is about 2 inches, right? No less than 1.5 inches, because you don't want it. When they put the drywall up behind it, and then you got to get this pipe on here, because it has to continue down. That piece will be put in when I do my own cabinet install. But whether I do it or somebody else does it, you have to cut a hole in the top of the cabinet, and then in the top and bottom of the upper cabinet to run that pipe through. So I just like a little room in there. It doesn't need to be tight to the wall, any tighter than 1.5 inches. There's no reason to. But these guys aren't used to that. I don't know what builders do. I've always done it this way, or told guys to do it this way. They like to just put up against the wall. You can't even drywall behind it. Anyway, and the upper cabinets don't go all the way up to the ceiling, so then you have to build a little, I build a little box, which I'll show you during cabinet install. I box around the pipe. It just gets painted. I box around it with MDF, and it gets painted just like the trim, with the oil-based paint. What I did is I located where the center of I think that my finger is making this thing blur because it wants to, it wants to focus on my finger. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, so I marked the center. I knew where the center of the cooktop cabinet was going to be. I was able to figure that out, put a line. I couldn't get exactly where it is because this framing was in the way here, and the pipes and all that. But I got it close enough so inside the upper cabinet, I can jog it over and get it where it needs to be. Or the HVAC guys, because actually your HVAC guys should, if you don't know how to do it, I know how to do it, but anyway, that should be included, that they hook up your exhaust fan for your cooktop. That's just part. They install the exhaust fan. If it's a microwave, they'll install that too. If it's an over-the-counter, which is what I use here, microwave exhaust combo, they should install the whole thing and hook it up, because it's part of ventilating. HVAC is heating, ventilating, and air conditioning. That's what it stands for. We just call it HVAC in the trades. Yeah, so they should include installing that. Like I said, even if it's a combo microwave unit, which is what I use here, that should be included in the bid. But sometimes if I'm putting the cabinet up, I just do it because I can, and they don't have to screw around with it. I keep good relations with my guys as long as I don't have other stuff to do. But most builders, they've never even picked up a hammer, so your HVAC guys should do it. But make sure it's included, because you don't want to call a separate guy just to come out and do that, right? Now, on high-end houses, especially real high-end stuff like I was doing in California, there's companies, that's all they do is appliance install. It's a specialty thing, because now you get these really high-end appliances. And so a lot of times I was building houses with there's 2 dishwashers, there's 2 Sub-Zero freezers, refrigerators, two cooktops. Everything was 2, right? So, or you got these 60-inch Wolf and Viking range. Get with these big hoods, they're like commercial exhaust hoods. It gets complicated. So then there's companies, they just specialize in that. So you have your appliances delivered, and then usually the appliance company, if you didn't know anybody, would give you the names of guys, and that's all they did. So anyway, but this is for the average person, the average house. Your HVAC guy should install that. Let's see what else. That's kind of it. Just kind of give you some pointers on, mostly on hiring people, because I mean, I could do my own HVAC, but by the time I buy the stuff, and then it would take me like a week or two, because I'd have to sit there and think about everything I do. Or these guys just come in and start, just hit the ground running. And maybe I'd save $1,000, and it'd take me, I don't know, a long time. Anyway, yeah. So let's see. Here's those roof. Here's the ones where the bathroom fans exhaust. They're right. I don't know if can you see it? Like I can see them good, but now we're looking if you're watching this on a TV, like I usually watch YouTube on TV, if you're watching on a phone, anyway, there's one there. That's for that one is for the, it's hard to see because the shingles are piled up here. This one is for the range, for the vent for the range, for the cooktop vent, and then, because they use the same thing, and then this one is for the bathroom. They have another one of these on the other side where they have two, where the laundry and the bathroom run together and go up inside there, and then there's a different one that's for the dryer exhaust. It looks different than these. It's shorter, squatter, bigger around. Anyway, that was the one that they'll come back. They got another job in the subdivision on Wednesday, so they'll come back on Wednesday and do that. Anyway, yeah, so that's those. And then when I'm doing my foundation, I have them pour the AC pad for the AC unit. I just have them do it all at the same time because it makes more sense. But you don't want to be running to Home Depot buying bags of concrete and doing it. I put my sidewalks, my driveways, my foundation, I do all that stuff at the same time because it's cheaper, because they're there doing everything at the same time. But I haven't put this in, so I just have them pour. This is a small unit, so I only had them pour a 44 inch by 44 inch. It's a bigger unit. I'll do 4 feet by 4 feet or even larger, because you have to have your unit away from the wall. I think it's a foot, so it has to be a foot away from the wall. So you want to make sure that this is better than those. They can buy those ones that I think they're filled actually with foam, but they look like concrete on the outside. But those end up tipping after a while. It's just better to pour. I even put a couple of rebars in here. Just to pour a pad. It's nicer. And that's how they leave it. And then I put it on the side of the house where it doesn't really show, because this side of the house shows, other side of the house shows from the street. Something to think about when you're going and walking through the job initially with your HVAC guy. Where you want the unit, or if you're gonna have the concrete guys pour the pad, to know where that's going to be. Make that decision ahead of time. If you don't know anything about construction, it might be in an inconvenient place for the HVAC guy, but as a general rule, it doesn't make much difference whether you put on one side of the house. I mean, I could have put it here, I guess, but this is going to be a walkthrough. And then the other thing you got to think about too is when they do make some noise. You don't want to put it right on outside the master bedroom. I put it outside the master bath, because I thought that was the best. Nobody's hardly ever in the master bath, so you're not going to hear it much when it does run. Another thing to think about. So you got to think about which side of the house do you want on. You don't want to see it really from the road, or you don't have to plant bushes around it if you don't have to. So what room do you not? Where do you want the most quiet? So you don't want to put it next to a bedroom. If you don't, and if you do, then you don't want it next to the master bedroom, obviously. So that's just, you want to think about all that stuff when you're in that position, either to pour the pad, or maybe you're just gonna let the HVAC guy provide one of those styrofoam pads that are coated with to look like concrete. Where you want to place the unit for quiet, for being quiet. Anyway, I think that's it. I'm going to make another video regarding the siding. I didn't get much recorded when the siding guys were here, so even when the HVAC guys were here, but they make a lot of noise, and this whole floor was covered with stuff, so it was kind of ductwork everywhere and everything. So I mean, I like to record when guys are here sometimes, because it's people are interested to see, but anyway, I didn't this time. Sorry about that. Anyway, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Oh my god, 24 minutes, imagine that. Okay, yeah, I think that's kind of covers everything, or things you might need to know. All right, back to work.